Please stand as you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting for the School Town of Speedway for April 8th, 2025. We are working from a 10-item agenda this evening. The first agenda item is to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was March 11th, 2025.
Mr. President, I move that we approve last month's minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any commentary or questions about the minutes? Would all those in favor of approval of the minutes please signify by raising a hand? That approves unanimously.
That's yours. You have two?
I always have better. That's my favorite. Minutes are signed.
Thank you very much. Our second agenda item this evening is to approve the handbook, the student handbook, for 25-26.
In our in our March board meeting, we gave you a first reading of the handbook, and there were some suggestions for some edits in there. One of those was for the board to be referenced throughout consistently. So in the handbook now, the school board is now referenced as the Board of Trustees of the School Town of Speedway whenever it's mentioned. At the end of the section, there was a section, the high school portion of it, that talked about qualifications for graduation, that it still included steps. So we took that part out because that no longer exists. That sunset, as the term is. So it's updated to our graduation pathways. And the other suggestion was on our website to have a reference that is a digital reference that could be searchable, and all those things that is going to take place by the start of next school year. So with that, my recommendation would be to approve the 25-26 version of the handbook that you have in your packet, with the understanding that new legislation could happen that could create substantial change, and if that's the case, we will bring a revised copy back to the board for your consideration.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 25-26 student handbook with the caveat that minor changes don't need to be brought back to the board, but anything that would be at all substantial, especially due to legislative change, would be brought back.
I'll second.
Okay. We've had a motion to approve the handbook as it is, with the understanding that any legislative changes that must be made will be brought to our attention. Is there discussion on that motion? Okay. Would all those in favor of approving the motion please signify? It passes 5-0. Thank you for putting it up as a searchable document prior to the start of next school year. I think that's a great step forward. The third agenda item this evening is to approve the E-rate proposal.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few months ago, we approved a management system that manages our E-rate network upgrade, and that's from the feds, from the federal side of an E-rate. So they go after this money, and we receive money back. Typically, we don't bring this in front of you on the line items that we're going to do, but the amount, we didn't do it last year and this year, the amount is $164,298 without E-rate. So once our management team goes through, the new number for what we're going to get, and it's a long list, but I'm going to kind of abbreviate a few things. But it includes, and again, this is all in technology world, so switches, licenses, modules, switch powers, wireless access points, WACs, routers, firewall subscriptions are all included in this. John Lipp and I met the other day, and we're going to get 80 new access points, and that's quite a few. I'm sure the corporation started decades ago where we had 8. Now that's 80 is just 1% of as many access points as we have. We're getting 2 new wireless controllers and redundancy of those. For example, if there's a storm on a Wednesday night last week, we lose electricity, we have a second wireless access for single point of failure, so it won't happen. So that's a positive thing that's all getting bought from this. For the price of $164,000, that goes down for the new number, and please write this into your notes, $44,709.60. So that's a correction. I had $43,922. So the new number again is $44,709.60. Just so if you're doing the math again, the total of that was $164,298. And so it's quite a bit of a saving. This is a great deal, and a great deal for our taxpayers here in Speedway. So my recommendation is to approve the E-rate network upgrades.
Yes,
I move that we approve the E-rate network upgrades.
thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions about this particular proposal? Seeing none, would all those in favor of approving the E-rate network, try to run them together, upgrades, please signify. That passes 5-0. Our fourth agenda item this evening has to do with a preliminary report regarding the 2025 summer school programs.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's the time of year we start thinking about summer school for 2025. The proposed summer school program that's in your packet is very similar to what we've done in the past with a few minor changes. The proposal includes elementary and junior high I-Learn review and remediation classes in language arts, reading, and math. This year, there will be a specific reading instruction class for students who are in grades 2 and grades 3 this past year who did not pass the iRead assessment. We will also have online classes available to our secondary students for high school credit. Included in the proposal are also enrichment opportunities for our students. Band classes are going to be offered for elementary students who are entering the junior high school and taking instrumental music for the first time in the fall of 25. And marching band for students in grades 9 through 12. Elementary enrichment classes are also offered in reading, writing, STEM, and health and wellness. And these classes are open to all students at each elementary school. So that's the preliminary report for the summer school programs. If you have any questions about those, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
I do have a question. Do we want to have that as discussion after the motion or question before the motion?
Well, there's no motion to approve.
Oh, it's just to present, yep, sorry, so I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So on that, the first elementary iRead plan, remediating second and third graders, is that going to be a joint? I mean, we've talked a lot about how, you know, the second grade take it as the practice, and if you pass it, awesome, but, you know, not like dropping the stress load down to an expectation of passing in second grade. So are these kids who didn't pass it in second grade, is it the same? Are they going to be doing the same thing as kids that didn't pass it in third grade?
Great question. So if you are, let me start with a third grader as new legislation. If you're a third grader and you did not pass the iRead test, then you have one more opportunity during the school year, and we'll give that test toward the end of this school year, toward the end of May. If that student did not pass again, then there's remediation opportunity in the summer, and they'll be given again at the end of summer school. Second graders, they're allowed to take it one more time as a second grader. So they can either take it at the end of the school year, which some of our second graders that didn't pass will, so they'll be remediated throughout the year, or from the time they took it, or they're being remediated now, until the end of the year, and then take it again. Some of our students, some of our schools are choosing to have those students go through summer school, some more remediation, and then take it at the end of summer school instead of taking it at the end of the school year. So to answer your question, there's a remediation it's going to take during the school year, and for those second graders that summer school is a better opportunity for them, there'll be additional remediation before they take the test at the end of that summer school session.
Are we moving towards an expectation, or is it a goal or a hope, or, I mean, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to have everybody that we had in second grade in Speedway schools entering third grade having passed the test?
You know, Laura, I believe that's part of what the state is moving toward, is it's going to be a, you know, that every
So it's going to be a second grade test?
And it's going to be a second and third grade test, and don't be shocked if one of these days there's not a math test that goes kind of along with that. But to answer your question, it's not going to be our expectation that all second graders would, but we're going to do everything we can to prepare them for that.
Give them an opportunity.
Give them opportunity. And the results that you get from that gives you much more data to find out what it is they don't know and what they can't do. And there's still a thing called a good cause exemption in there, which means that if they don't pass the test, we can apply for a good cause exemption. But to do a good cause exemption, you got to have some criteria. There didn't used to be criteria. There's much more stringent criteria now. And I asked the question today with our elementary principals, and we're probably talking about maybe 5 students in Speedway schools that would have to give a good cause exemption. Example of that would be maybe someone that's have special needs would be a good example of that we'd have a good cause exemption, which means that it would exempt them from taking that test. So they have to have opportunities to pass first, and then a good cause exemption can be. You cannot give a good cause exemption to a second grader. It has to be as a third grader. So
I would, I've talked about this every time that we've talked about this, so I would just emphasize again that I would see this as becoming then something that is going to require ongoing work by third grade to figure out, well, I've got X number of kids who already passed it. I've got X number of kids who haven't even taken it. Seems to me that this is putting a different and greater burden on our third grade teachers to have at least 3 different cohorts of students in their classes, whereas 2 years ago, right, the whole class has to take iRead this year.
right.
And so I would hope that we would be really supporting our third grade curriculum, figuring this out.
I see what you're saying. So third grade class could have those that passed, those that didn't pass, and so when you have those that are passed, they have something else to do while you're retaking the test. And yes, there's
Right, because it used to be, everybody's getting the 100% effort to pass iRead in the fall, in the spring, and now there's going to be all kinds of differentiation, it seems.
correct. And good news is with our track record, and as good as our teachers are, if they're with us kindergarten 1, 2, we get them over. We get them to pass that test. The issue is the mobility, students that move in at the last
Sure.
minute, but we're pretty good at that too. It's just we got to have a chance to work with them to get them over. So that's what we're doing in summer school this year.
Thank you. The fifth agenda item this evening is to approve funding for recreational programming administered by the Speedway Parks and Recreation Department for summer of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is one of my favorite items to bring to the board. This has been done for many, many years here, but the recommendation is to approve $15,000 in support of the summer recreation programs. Tammy Smith is the lead here in Speedway Parks Recreation Department through the town. One of those unique things, we continue to talk about small class sizes, great teachers, great teachers, great teachers. It's all true. It's also the partnership that we have with our town government, our Lions Club, Chamber of Commerce. We all work together. And this is one of those things that gives kids opportunities in the summers. So there's a variety of sports and programs. We talked to Mrs. Smith today, and there's just a wide range, a variety of activities for our kids to do this summer. It's a great place to be a kid in the summer here in Speedway. It's a great place. Not only have we done this for many years, but we also are I'm recommending $7,000 that we pay to the Parks Group for free swim lessons again, which I think there's people at this table did this a couple years ago. So this is something that's not new. It's something we've been doing in partnership with the town. Again, what a great place that we make sure there's opportunities. It runs all through June. We're also having our free lunches at the high school again. So it's a great partnership across the board with our town. So the recommendation is to approve this for this coming summer.
Yes.
I'll move we approve the funding for a recreation program through the Speedway Parks and Recreation Department. Second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions concerning this motion?
This is a great thing. I think everybody on this board has had their kids and/or grandkids go through this, so thanks for doing this.
Or themselves. All right. Would all those in favor of approving the funding for the recreation program and free swimming lessons for the Parks Department, please raise a hand. That passes 5-0. The sixth agenda item this evening is a report on facilities.
Thank you. And Tony, if you can put the first slide up, we're going to go through a different route to get the information. Oh, back to slide 1, please. You can go left. There we go. The first two are the one-pagers that we have on our website. We've talked about this over and over again, but I just want to get it up in front of people in the meeting here again. 11,000 plus square foot outbuilding is coming together right now, and Mr. Roseborough will share more information about this. But if you haven't been on 25th Street, you probably want to go on 25th Street to take a look. There's actually green and some yellow and brown out there in the middle of the field. So the turf is laid out. It's going to be stretched next few days, and Mr. Roseborough will give us details here. But we're moving away from just the brown and the mud, and there's actually some green out there right now. So it's exciting times here as the light poles are up, and I'm not going to steal all your thunder, but a lot of things are happening right now, and we're still on time for this to be done in the beginning of August, as long as the weather permits, and right now we're okay. So go ahead, and if we can go to the next slide, and then we can go back to some updated pictures. Tony, there we go. And that's the SAC, the Speedway Athletic Complex, and some people have seen a fence, and it's a temporary fence that we had to get to continue the permits to keep this project rolling. So those that fence is not going to be there forever. It's just for right now for safety. And we had a wonderful play this last weekend, and I know it was bad timing. The fence came in, and Eric and his team went out and tried to fix the problem on Saturday. But there's going to be things like that, and if you just communicate, and we can make sure that we try to get it as good as possible for our kids and our community here. But that's what's going up next, and it's starting now. And again, we're on time for right now. A lot of permits going through this, and there's a lot of details going into this piece of the project. Project C is what we call it, and we're really excited about that. So let's see some updated pictures, and they're kind of out of date after 7 days now with so much going on. But Tony, can you go to the next one, please? Okay, Eric, I'll let you talk about that.
Doesn't look like that anymore.
That was just a week ago.
Yeah, and that was just a week ago. So most of the turf is laid down. They expect to have all the turf laid down by the end of this week, and then the beginning of next week, cutting in logos and things like that. So the field portion should actually be completed midweek next week. Inside the building, which you can't really see going on, is they have poured the slab. So it is a concrete floor now. Starting yesterday, they started bringing in the block to start actually making the walls inside the building. Of course, all the underground stuff is already ran and roughed in, which is your electrical and plumbing. So that's been taking place last week into this week, and I think they said it's a 2 to 3 week process to start to get all that block laid out to actually form the walls. And then, of course, they start finishing it and all that. There was, if you tuned in to the Board of Zoning Appeals, we had a variance that was agreed upon, which is a really good deal for us because the additional costs that we would have incurred to put up these rooftop screenings that were in question was about $150,000. So by them passing the ordinance and only making us shield those on 3 sides instead of all 4, the project, essentially saved or didn't have to spend an additional $150,000. So big thanks to the people that reviewed that and then, of course, voted on that. The track and the access road, they are starting to build up to grade because we have some low, basically the whole entire complex has been raised mainly because of drainage and some other engineering things that needed to take place. But they are working on stabilizing the ground, building up a lot of the dirt that you do still see that's not filled. And they are planning on cutting in the new access road and the road and parking lot that actually runs behind the building, which is an excessive amount of dirt. Luckily, if you look in the bottom of the screen where that building pad is, that's our maintenance building. When they cut that dirt out, they're allowed to use a lot of that dirt rather than bringing in new dirt to do that buildup. So another way that Meyer and Asian did a nice job of finding ways to not have any of that contingency dollars eaten up if we didn't absolutely have to. He mentioned the fence that went up. That's in the front yard or the east yard of the high school. That's for the auxiliary gym. Basically, there's different phases of the permitting. Before we could get to the next phase, we had to have that safety fence put up, which then allows us to have another meeting, which then allows us to have administrative approval, which allows us to go into the ILP so that hopefully we can still mobilize by the end of April, which is still the plan.
Next slide, please.
There you get a better, the roof, it is now under roof, so they put a metal deck on and then what's called TPO, which is the material that is kind of rubbery-like. So that is, none of that's there anymore. It all looks white at the top because that is the finished roof now. And so they're moving into putting the rooftop units, which is the air conditionings and things like that. That's the phase that they're in now. This is actually a picture of them rolling out that what's called TPO, but it's the roofing material. It'd be like shingles on your house. It's just not shingles.
Both sides of the buildings are concession stands that you see the little holes on the front right corner and left corner. So they're going to be full-size concession stands. Behind those are going to be full family bathrooms on both sides. So that whole kind of both sides on right and left, we can separate visitors and home side. Now you can see it coming together. So that's super nice. And inside's all locker rooms and meeting rooms. So next slide. That's from the apartment view back to 25th Street. Hopefully we'll have bleachers by August. Is that the plan, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Well, June and July, depending on which side you're on. So the further east side, you can kind of see an edge of it. They have built and poured the pad for the east side bleachers. Those come in June. And then the west side, so the one you can primarily see in the center of your screen, those get set in July. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Press box.
Press box will get set with the west side.
So it's roughly about 500 square foot. Actually, it's 499. So it's going to be.
There's good reason for that.
There's about $1 million reasons why it's 499.
Yeah.
But the team did a great job assembling that, and it should be something special that people be proud of. Next slide, please. And there's lights now that aren't even on that slide. It just happened the last few days. Inside the building?
Yep, so I've kind of already alluded to this. This is the poured concrete that had to cure before they could set basically cinder blocks is what it is to make the walls rather than drywall or what you would see in a house, which is standard, easier to maintain. You're not going to get a football helmet through it and have to go drywall and patch it. So that's pretty standard for this building. That's what they're starting to set now. This picture was taken shortly after they poured the floor. So you can kind of see all the things that are stubbed up in the middle. Essentially, each one of those areas is a different room. So that would either be electrical or plumbing coming up through the floor. So all that stuff has already been laid. It's already exiting the building and working its way to 25th Street right now, actually.
Okay, next slide.
More of the
More
same.
inside, next.
So these right here, the left picture, you can kind of see this is the curbing for the track. So the track is bordered by basically a concrete curb in the interior and the exterior. That'll be built up with asphalt. Then it has to cure for about a month, and then that's when they put that rubberized texture that you think of when you think of track and field. So that's basically, they have almost all of the curb work done. They've left a couple sections open so that the field crews could get in and out without damaging that. But that's another thing, just kind of check the box. They're right there at completion.
Next slide.
There you go.
Green.
There's a lot more of it there now than just 20 yards. It's basically, they've got end zone to end zone. They're working on what's called the D zone, which is the arc of the track. So one will be turf, and then the other end is like the track material, because that's where high jump and things like that will take place. So that's the part that they'll be doing later in the week. But as far as having 100 yards of field, it's there.
Next slide. There we go. I think this is the last one.
So that's more of the same. Down in the right-hand corner there, those are the rooftop units, so that's what's going to keep you cool. That's what they're working on, getting on top of the building now that the roof's done. And that right there is the maintenance pad. So eventually that'll be concrete, but they build the building first, and then they'll come back in and pour the concrete. The bottom picture are the roof trusses that were delivered late last week, and those aren't up yet, but the crews are out getting all that prep work done. And they've been working since yesterday on the actual building itself.
And that'll go up pretty quick.
That they said 14 working days, so basically 3 weeks to get the building up. And then, of course, they'll be finishing touches and things, but yeah.
And we had multiple teams, just to let people know. There was the committee that started the whole thing, the school board that we rolled into, the finance team and the construction team and the thought process team. And so a lot of teams in the last 14, 16 months, I guess. But the barn, the pole barn, I guess we'll call it the
Essentially,
maintenance barn,
yeah.
is going to match everything. And then we'll have a line of all of our matching colors all the way through,
Yep.
from the pole barn all the way. And the pole barn, or the maintenance barn, is just south of the fire department. So it's kind of hard to see.
Southeast of it, yeah.
Southeast. It's just on the other side. And there was already a fence that we put up 8-9 years ago or so. So it was already secure, and it just made sense to do it that way. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some other things, because we're always heavy on this. I want to make sure we catch all the other things, because this is one half. Now the other half that you're on, the other many projects you're on.
Yeah, so the next thing that's kind of like really in motion would be the junior high gym floor, just because of timing. So that would be the next thing in the sequence of things. We've gotten some preliminary designs back on that. We do have the lowest bidder. It was underneath that threshold, the state threshold of what a public bid would have to be, but we did go through the quote and estimate process, and that's all taken care of. So now it's just finalizing design. They ordered the material first. And then June 1st, they're planning on starting there. So that's kind of the next project that you'll actually see a big change. Obviously, we have the Allison HVAC, but that's more of a 2026 project because of lead time on the machinery. But we do have the proposal, and they will start. Basically, they lay out the building, make the blueprints of the building so that they can then design it, because that will obviously go to public bid. We have the quotes. We have the quotes back on in the auditorium. I know that we just had the performances, but for the stage floor to be redone, the curtains and sound. So we do have floor and curtains lowest quotes in, but based on the timing, and I think I mentioned this last time, but talking with the band director, it makes more sense actually to kind of do that winter time versus summertime, because they still use it a lot. rainy days and whatever during summer ban. So that would probably be the next big thing that you start seeing happen after the junior high gym floor. We've looked at some other ADA things, working on estimates for that right now as far as push buttons to get into our buildings. Lintels, I know that's one thing that we've mentioned. We do have a construction company that is willing to estimate that, so I'm working on finding 2 more.
I think since I've been there in 2014, there's always been a leak here and there, but we did, I guess we had a lot of rain. So I know you spent most of your Saturday working on top of the auditorium.
I did. So ultimately, that obviously falls on me. We were aware of the leak that was in the auditorium, but we had, I think, 3 different times had contractors out. When I removed our catch basins on Thursday, they were dry. I thought we were good. And then the wonderful world of social media let us know that it was in fact not good. So yes, we did spend a lot of time on Saturday searching for pinhole leaks. I think Lou Grimes, our head maintenance guy, was able to find one. He patched it. We got some dryers on, did what we could, and tried to get that 2 o'clock performance dried up. I think we were fairly successful. Clearly not how we want to represent it, but that's what happened. So, and I think that's pretty much all the updates.
We'll be starting mowing soon.
Oh, we already started mowing.
We will be starting.
For the fields that aren't underwater, we've started mowing, yeah. So we're well aware we do have some areas that are getting long, but we've held off getting our bat wing out because it likes to get stuck when it's soggy out. And we do have quite a few fields that do still have standing water in it. But yes, that's in full effect. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Item 7 is an acknowledgement of $222,537.21 in grants received. The 8th agenda item this evening is the personnel report.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the personnel report for the month of April, we have several items. The first is staff member was dismissed, David Hunter, as a custodian on April 4th. We have resignations of Nathan Day, assistant principal at Speedway High School, James Sims, who is the head wrestling coach at Speedway Junior High School, Kendra Lucky, who was a girls' assistant golf coach at Speedway High School and the girls' head golf coach at Speedway Junior High School, Alicia Goss, who was a cafeteria worker at Speedway High School, 4-hour cafeteria worker, and Kenna Allison, who's been with us as a school nurse for the past 11 years, has sent in her letter of resignation. For employment, Heather Gorgas is being recommended as the new principal of Newby Elementary School. And Timothy Woodlock is the assistant baseball coach at Speedway Junior High School. And my recommendation is to approve the personnel report as presented.
I move that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion about the personnel report? All right, would all those in favor of accepting and approving the personnel report as presented, please signify. Passes 5-0. Item 9 is the recognition of our visitors. Thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate it. And to ask if there's other business. Okay. Then the next item for us is to adjourn and approve claims. Thank you all for being here.